the whole, like, you know, he's not influenced by drummers.
Right.
You know?
Right.
He doesn't.
I'm influenced by, like, you know, explosions, mud,
Right.
fire, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
anything that, like, if it sparkles, it'll take his attention
Right.
from
Yeah,
the important
exactly.
stuff, right?
Exactly.
But I listen to a lot of old Weezer. If you I don't know if you guys have heard of a band called Ozma. They sound a little bit like Weezer, but they're a little bit different. Death Cab. Listen to some Death Cab. The Postal Service. A lot of bands that don't sound that much like us. You know, maybe just
Right.
a little bit. You might get you know, really think that we're influenced by them, but that we don't sound exactly like them.
Yeah. Well, the Death Cab for Kitty Germ is definitely there. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the most obvious reference point.
Right. Well, I mean, I think, like, you'd probably notice that we were influenced, but you wouldn't see us touring with Death Cab. You know, we don't exactly have the exact same, you know, thing going on.
Right.
But they've certainly influenced us. You know,
Who would you tour with?
who would we tour
That's
with?
a good question. Well, it's kind of hard for me to step out and look at our music and try and say, okay, who do we sound like? You know,
Yeah.
what band do we sound like? What do the vocals sound like? Because when I listen to it, you know, we're making the music, so we have a completely different perspective on it.
Well, it's weird, like the pairings they do. Like, I remember going to a U2 concert and they had Nelly Furtado open for them, and apparently Rookie of the Year are now opening for Norah Jones.
Yeah, that's kind of a strange.
That's a
mix.
strange, yeah.
Yeah,
A way I'd like to do it is I would like to open for myself, and I would like it to be the clean escape, and we would walk out and we would play, and then, you know, we'd do our set, and then we'd leave. And then we'd come back out, and we'd do it maybe 4 or 5 times.
mustaches.
Yeah, and we'd play the same songs.
Different.
Yeah.
outfits.
Every time, and they would just love it more and more.
Yeah, that sounds unbearable.
Yeah, that's really a terrible idea. We won't do that.
Okay, I mean, you know, you could try it. Maybe like different versions of the songs. Like the first time it's acoustic, the second time it's techno, the third time
It's acoustic again, right?
yeah. Okay,
Then techno again.
yeah.
We
okay.
actually talked about doing something like that, putting together just an album for fun where every single track on the album is completely different genre.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the things I really admired about the Beatles. Like, like if you listen to the White Album, from song to song, they would just switch genres whenever they felt like it.
Yeah.
I remember an interview with Paul McCartney a few years back in which he said, if the Beatles were around today, they'd probably be doing hip hop.
Yeah.
Because they just love to try different genres and
Yeah, that's what hung us up on the whole every song's a different genre idea was the hip hop. We're too white. We're far too white. You know,
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
even come remotely close to hip hop.
no,
I mean, that didn't stop the Clash or Blondie or anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, you raise a good point.
Blondie didn't know that she was doing hip hop. She just
She released and they're like, "That's actually hip hop you just created." Oh, really? Cool.
yeah, she just stumbled in there.
She was totally that was totally self aware.
Andy is making me crazy uncomfortable.
The song is called Rapture.
Andy, the producer, is creepily leering at us while pointing a
He's getting
iPhone.
very close with that camera.
General
Very
direction.
close.
He almost has a nostalgic look on his face, as if he's filming his children at Christmas. You know.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know.
There he's texting.
Boy, Papa Andy got me a Nintendo 64.
He looks like he will cherish this video.
Yeah, these are times to remember for sure.
He's probably just texting someone.
We're flattering ourselves.
He's
Hanging out with these 4 losers.
he's he's sexting.
I hear that's the new craze, sexting.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
catching on.
I mean, I imagine it'd have to be popular in Fayetteville, particularly. We've got so many people overseas. Can you
yeah.
sext overseas?
I'm pretty sure you can. I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, can you send a text?
long as
Jamie,
you-
go ahead and send a dirty text message to Iraq right now.
All right.
Do you have Iraq's number?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm actually not. Don't tell Iraq I'm here because we're not on good terms. I don't want it to be like.
It's,
It's kind of a weird thing.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine. That's. What are you doing? He actually took his phone out.
Yeah.
How long are you going to drag this
Contacts.
out?
Where
Hi.
are the WMDs?
411 it.
Girl.
Where are they?
Yeah, that's something dirty. So so you're going to have 4 songs in this album. How many songs have you gotten written just between the two of you?
3 of them are completely written. One of them has a little bit of writing to do, and all of them have a lot of mixing to do, before we finish it up.
Mhm.
But, I expect to be done with all the writing in the next few weeks or so.
Now, do you try to do love songs? You try to stray away, or
Right now, I don't have that much of a theme. I'm kind of just going with whatever feels right. But it seems to be unintentionally moving towards the idea of like focusing on the future, kind of, and not like distant future, not like lasers. I'm talking about
Right.
like your personal future, like what you're gonna do.
That hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah. I feel like the lasers are a bit overdone. You know what I mean? It was my next idea.
pew pew. That's
That is what lasers sound like.
I want somebody to sample that onto an album. Pew pew.
We might sample that and use it as a snare.
Are there like particular concept albums about the future that you like or that you
Not
have a
really.
preference for?
No,
So then
no.
why?
No, I just, I'm influenced by everything that hits me.
Okay.
And the only concept albums I'm being perfectly honest, the only concept album that I've listened to is Tommy by The Who.
Oh yeah.
I don't really, and they haven't. I don't have much of The Who in our music, but
Sgt. Pepper's was thought to be a concept album when
Was it?
when they were first creating it. When it was going to be a concept album, and then they're like, screw it.
yeah, it's hard to
Which
do.
is why, like, one song in the beginning is like, "We're Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts," and
Exactly.
And they're like,
And
this is
then
they
too
said,
hard to
okay,
scratch
now
that.
we're the Beatles again.
yeah.
Well, I don't think an album necessarily has to have a linear narrative to be a concept album.
Okay.
What defines a concept album? It's the question.
I think there has to be some sort of consistency in theme and mood. I think it's kind of loose.
Yeah.
I think there are lots of albums that are concept albums that may not have aspired to be concept albums.
It's possible. I personally, it's just too much work for me. Too scatterbrained to keep things.
Yeah. Yeah, if you, for me personally, if I am listening to a band's album, and from one song to the next, it sounds exactly the same to me, and then I'm not terribly interested.
Right.
Unless you really like that one song. That
Exactly.
all the
Yeah.
tracks sound
Well,
like.
we're far too new of a band to know what we do really well,
Yeah.
and we're gonna learn, what songs people like, and then we'll just, do that over and over again for about 10 years.
All right.
Same song,
Yeah, we are sort of kind of testing the waters as far as what kind of sound we're going for, because when it comes down to it, we really enjoy playing everything.
Yeah.
And like our last album was actually pretty much acoustic based. There was a lot of acoustic guitar. I mean, the sound was completely different than what we're doing right now. And now we've got heavy electric guitars, and it's kind of overproduced. It's really poppy sounding. So, yeah, we're just trying to find our niche right now.
Is there truly such a thing as overproduced, Andy?
It's called
There
the
is.
Jonas Brothers. and
Tech,
Hannah Montana.
in the scheme of things, I wouldn't call our music overproduced, but in terms of how well we can do, we're doing the best we can. We want
Right.
it to be overproduced, but we can only work with our
Right, we don't
experience.
just set mics up in a room and hit record and just
Right. No.
leave it raw. Keep
Yeah.
it real for the listeners. We try and shine it up and make it sound as fancy.
But
as
we're always
possible.
learning, and that's one of the reasons that it's taken me so long to do this. I learn a different trick, and that has to be, done to all the music I've recorded previously.